Hello, welcome to this episode of Mindset Matters. In the last episode, I shared with you my thoughts on the subconscious mind and how it can often be the kind of secret assassin that can get in our way, that can prevent us, that can block us from achieving the life, the goals, and the success that we want. You know, if we acknowledge that mindset is important and often considered quite critical, then we need to look more closely at the impact that the subconscious mind has on our progress. So I just wanted to carry the conversation on a bit more today and talk about how, some examples of how the subconscious program has formed and how you may have kind of changed it in your life from birth until this very day. And my son turned 17 last week and has just started driving lessons. And I think driving's a really kind of good example that most adults who drive can relate to. But the same applies if you've ever taken up a new hobby, a new skill. If you've ever learned anything new, whether that be personally or within your business, your work, you have to go through a process of mastering it, and what we call going from conscious incompetence to unconscious competence. It's basically when we learn something new and it becomes something we can then do on autopilot. And again, driving, I think, is a really good example. When you first learn to drive, you have to kind of think about everything. You're thinking about your mirror, signal maneuver, you've got the steering wheel in your hand, you're listening to instructions, you're paying attention to the signs. And sometimes it can feel quite overwhelming. And I think that's, when we look at in our life with goals, with things we're looking to achieve, usually there's a learning curve to it. Usually there's something we have to master. There's an element of growth. And when we've got quite a lot of things to take on board, that's when it can feel overwhelming. But it's actually also a good sign that we're learning and we're progressing. So if you think your conscious mind can only hold a handful of information at any one time, if we're trying to remember and think about lots of different things, that's where we can get overwhelmed. But instead, it's about kind of taking these things on bit by bit, step by step, chunk by chunk. And that's why I'm an advocate for, small steps can lead to big changes. So if we go back to the driving for a moment, when you kind of become a confident, competent driver, and if you drive yourself, think about, when you get in the car now, how much of those things do you now think about, or how much of it do you now do on autopilot? And I'm pretty sure you can relay that to so many other things. I mean, if you look at when a baby first learns to walk, even at that young age, the difference is as a baby, they don't have that inner critical voice that kind of talks them out of it. And, it's often said if a baby had the mindset of an adult, we'd probably all still be sitting on the floor, getting in our own way. But if you think about, a baby will pick themselves up, they'll make an attempt, they'll fall, they'll get back up, they'll keep going, and then before you know it, they're kind of toddling around, and then they progress and they then start to go a bit faster and start running. And do you see what I mean? So there's an evolution to what we do, and it's building blocks on building blocks. Think of technology. If you're a business owner, if you're in a role where you have to learn new skills, new software, new technology, there's a process where you're having to think and take it on board. But then soon, it's just what you do. It's just an autopilot mechanism. I always think back to when I used to kind of be a martial arts instructor. From the age of 15, I kind of was involved in that world, and it was only when I got to that point where I was sharing and teaching people who were just coming in to learn for the first time that you realize how much you've learned. When you do it steadily and incrementally and gradually, you just kind of forget what you just do it, like with the driving. But before too long, with consistency, with persistence, you will be the same with anything. So apply any of these kind of analogies to where you are in your life now, and think about if there's anything you want to achieve, if there's anything you want to accomplish, just know that you can do it, and you can have a massive positive impact on your subconscious programming through conscious effort. It just takes a bit of time. As I said in the last episode, it usually requires a bit of blood, sweat, tears, and perseverance, but it's still absolutely possible. And if you've learned to do anything, if you've kind of learned a new skill or tried anything new, even something simplistic, if you've gone to, I don't know, a new gym, for example, and there's new kit there, and it's a little bit daunting, overwhelming. It's all a bit different, but before too long, once you start using it, you get familiar with it. It's second nature. It could be the same as if you go somewhere for the first time, and you're even with a sat nav, you might have to think about the journey and where you're going. But again, once you've done that journey a few times, you can pretty much do it on autopilot. The thing to add to that is, with the autopilot thing, as much as I've said that when you drive, you're probably not thinking about it, your subconscious mind is always looking out to protect you. So if there was an incident or something that needed your attention, you are always fully aware and able to react and respond to things when they happen. So yeah, that's a little bit more context to the subconscious mind, how it works, and some examples that you could probably relate to as to how you have kind of learned to influence, impact, and change your subconscious mind through conscious learning and effort. So like I said to you, if there's anything you would like to change, improve, learn, or enhance in your life, just know that you can do it through conscious effort. And if you want to speed up the process, there are other ways to reinforce that. But I just wanted to give you some examples that you have probably experienced in your life that you can relate to. So let me know if you're live on the call. If you're live on this stream, let me know in the comments if you can think of, or an example of, where you have learned something new that once you had to really think about, and now it's just something you do on autopilot or second nature. Or if you're catching this as a replay, then let me know in the comments and I'll come back and have a look. I'd like to hear some of your stories. I was talking with a client the other day, and they've just learned recently to play the piano, and that's another good example. There's a lot to think about, reading the music, keys, and all those things. So we've all got different interests. We've all come from different walks of life, but I'm pretty sure if you think about it, you can relate to a time when you have learned something which you now do on autopilot, and the subconscious looks after it. And that's something else to remember, that when we master it, the subconscious mind will protect and look after it superbly well until it's given a reason why you don't want to do it anymore. So let me know in the comments if there's something that you can think of that you have learned and mastered subconsciously in your life, and I look forward to reading some of your stories. Until next time, have a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.